Thanks a lot for joining us here on KC2. This is Purpose Rwanda Show, a show that intends to create a purposeful generation and, of course, an addiction-free Rwanda. I am Lavi Mutanganchuru. This week, Rwanda celebrated 28 years of liberation, a day that is celebrated every 4th of July. And today, the topic will not go away from that. We are going to discuss the relevance of the patriotism spirit in our current generation. When we say our current generation, we mean this generation that was born after the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. And joining me today is Sheikh KARIM Harerimana. He's a politician and a member of RPF National Executive Committee. He also, during the liberation struggle, he was among the senior cadres during the struggle. He's also currently a member of Rwanda Elders Advisory Forum, a legal entity established in 2013 with the mission of advising the president and the government on national topical issues, national political orientation, and challenges pertaining to good governance, justice, economy, and social welfare. Thank you very much, Sheikh, for joining us.
Thank you very much for hosting me, and I take this opportunity to wish Rwanda Muslims and Rwandans in general a happy Eid-al-Adha 2022.
Yes, thanks very much. And joining me as well is NASWIRU Shema. He's the executive or the head of the executive director of Peace and Love Proclaimers, also known as PLP. This organization was formed in 2017, and it seeks to advocate for a positive change in the world through unity, peace, and development, especially among young people. Thank you very much, NASWIRU, for joining us.
Thank you very much for hosting me. It's a pleasure and a privilege.
And I think you can also take this opportunity to wish Muslims.
Yes, happy Eid-al-Adha to all Muslims and all Rwandans at large.
Yes, thank you very much. As I said earlier, we are going to discuss the role of, or the relevance of the patriotism spirit in our current generation. And by this, we mean the generation that was born after the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Now, as we start, Sheikh, maybe you were part of this liberation struggle over the years. And the question that I want to ask you is, take us through that journey from the start. What sparked you to start this liberation struggle? How did it start?
Okay, thank you very much. Our people who are following us, be it in Rwanda or outside Rwanda, I wish all of you happy liberation. Yes. Though today we are 9th, but still we are still celebrating.
Yes.
It is a long history. We first need to know that Rwanda had an opportunity which was unique and singular compared to other African countries, because it was made a nation state before the arrival of the white man to Africa. That was before the Berlin Conference, which took place in 1884. Rwanda was a nation state. Yes. And the meaning of a nation state is where you find people understanding each other. They have same vision. They are going to the same direction. And structured government and well-structured government. This is what was going on here before 1884. But when the white man came here and found that it would be very, very difficult to manage Rwandans, they decided to use their usual tactic, which is known as divide and rule.
Yes.
So they divided Rwandans in, they found here people called the Hutu, Tutsis as social classes or working classes of different items. The Hutus being people who work in farming, land works and so on, and the Tutsis people who work in cattle rearing, and the Twazi who worked in pottery and so on and so forth. Yeah. So they said, no, you guys, you are not one people, you came from different places. Some of you are from Chad, others are from the current Ethiopia.
Ethiopia,
to be called the Abyssinia by then. Others you came from the Congo forests. So you are not from the same origin. That one was new to Rwandans. And of course the so-called elite by then accepted that one, and they thought that they are special now because they are not from here. But the real Rwandans, the nationalists and the patriotists refused that one, including our king, by then Musinga. So the story starts from there.
Yes.
Because this caused the wrangles, caused the problems between the population. The Hutus were told that they are the majority in this country, and they are, persecuted by the Tutsis who are the minority. The Hutus were told that they are the owners of Rwanda. And I wonder why they forgot that, according to them, they said that the Twas are the first one to come here.
Yes.
But incidentally, it was taken that the Hutus are the owners of the land.
Of the land.
Is it because of the being majority or what? I don't know. So, in early 50s, the elite, the people who went to schools of those colonial masters,
Yes.
of course, took that one as maybe something new, and they were happy to know that they are not Rwandans, yes. And then they started fighting each other. But the people who, recalled the history of Rwanda, they saw a danger that is coming, yes, in the future. So they said, I think these guys have divided us. We better tell them to go back to their countries, and we go back to our independence. So they became enemies of the colonial masters, yes, understandably, yes, of course. Yeah. So the problems became stronger and stronger. To the elite from the Hutu created a political party which they called Parmehutu. You see that it belongs only to the Hutus. Yes. But those nationalists, they created a party which they called the INAR, Union Nationale Rwandaise, that is intends to unite Rwandans,
all Rwandans,
and fight for independence of the country.
Yes.
Then it did not happen because the Parmehutu did not want independence or immediate independence without conditions. For them, they said our problem is not having the colonial masters in our country. Our problem is not being colonized by a foreigner. Yes. Our problem is the Tutsis. We don't want the monarchy here. So if you white men can help us to
get rid of the Tutsis,
and the monarchy, that will be wonderful. Yes. And they will be living with you even for more 40 to 50 years. Yes. So the colonial masters assisted them, of course, to divide deeper even the people of Rwanda, and they assisted them even to take the machetes and other weapons to kill the Tutsis. Yes. That was beginning 1st November 1959.
59, yes.
So you see, Rwanda is no longer the Rwanda that the ancestors created, yes, yes, some centuries before. Now, okay, the INAR that was fighting for independence, yes, was defeated because there was that help from the colonial master to the Parmehutu, yes. And most of these people were killed, were chased from their original places of birth, yes. And they left the country. Others were dislocated from the area, from northern Rwanda especially, and some parts of southern Rwanda to Bugesera in camps, as if they are people from another place, not Rwanda.
If I may ask you, was it a specific reason why they took them to Bugesera?
Yes, there was a specific reason, 2 or 3 reasons. One, Bugesera was not densely inhabited like other places of Rwanda. 2, it was a very big forest. Forest with all kinds of animals, including elephants, lions, and so on. And there was this tsetse fly also.
Yes.
So if we take these guys here, I think these animals and those insects will help us to reduce their numbers.
We won't use our energy killing them.
Yes, we will not need to use our machetes and our guns to kill them.
Yes.
So that was the reason.
Yes.
And the starting life from a new place, you know how difficult it can be. And of course, many of them died in that process. So that was in 1960, mostly between 60 and 1961. So there was a referendum that took place, and of course they declared that the monarchy is abolished. And in 1962 we got independence, and the first president was Kayibanda. He had an opportunity, if it was only an ego to get to the power, he had an opportunity to call in the ones he defeated in courts. And they tell them that, okay, it was just a small problem. You people now come and reconcile, and we go together to rebuild our country. But no, he kept a grudge. Instead of them keeping a grudge against him, he's the one who kept a grudge against them. And he said, no, for those who have left the country, they have no place here. And for those who were relocated to another place, they will remain there. And they have no any place in the government institutions. First in the first leg of his government, maybe in the first month, he got some few people from Inar, but slowly, getting to 1963, no single Tutsi or anyone from another party, apart from Parmehutu and the Prosoma, who remained in the government.
Yes.
That is, phase 1 of our problem. Phase 2 came in 1973.
Yes.
And it was the continuation, of course, of the first one, because in 1963 there were executions of some inner leaders and members in kangaroo courts that took place in Musanze today, the Ruhengeri by then, and they were executed at that hill in Ruhengeri. 1972, there was a problem in Burundi between the Hutus and Tutsi.
Yes.
You know, I think Kayibanda had that problem of Hutuism, and for him, I think he thought that it would be Hutus without borders. That the Hutus in Burundi are the same as of Hutus in Rwanda, the Hutus in Congo are the same as the Hutus in Rwanda, and they are the same family, the Hutus in Tanzania. So that is what I think he thought. And he did as much as he could to see the Hutus united in the region.
Yes.
Then he was inciting the Hutus in Burundi, especially in the army. Burundi was somehow united until then. So he was inciting them to overthrow the government. How can you allow this minority of Tutsis to rule you guys? You still have the monarchy there. You are the majority. You have, some few officers in the government. Okay. There was a military coup which was done with another Tutsi in Burundi. Yes. That was Kano Michombero. But the situation remained as it was. Hutus are everywhere, Tutsis are everywhere. But with incitement from Kayibanda in 1972, they tried to do a military coup against the government. For them, call it a Tutsi government. What happened? it failed. And usually, you know, when a coup fails, the retaliations most of the time is very dangerous.
Yeah, very dangerous.
So Hutus were massacred, killed in big numbers, and some of them escaped to Congo, to Tanzania, and a big number of them came to Rwanda. Kayibanda received them
with open
heart. Even the heart was very open.
Yes.
And he promised to revenge for them. And do you know the revenge where it would go? Not to the Tutsi in Burundi,
but to the Tutsis in Rwanda.
Tutsis in Rwanda. So he and government, the whole government of Kayibanda, including the army, including the gendarmerie, including all state institutions,
yes.
They decided to incite the students in secondary schools and the university in Butare to the Hutus,
yes.
Hutu students, to stand against their colleagues,
Tutsi
the
colleagues.
Tutsis. So some of them lost their lives. Some of them were thrown out the schools from the campus in Butare.
Yes.
Their teachers, lecturers, some of them were killed.
Yes.
And the government decided to fire all the Tutsis who were working in different offices in the country. You come in the morning to your office, there is
a letter telling you that you're not allowed
not
to.
even a letter, a list. The following employees, you are not allowed to enter into the office.
Yes. And we are still in 70s, 1970s.
That is 1973 now. What do you do?
Go back home.
The list is stamped with an official stamp or signature, you know, maybe from your minister.
Yes.
You go home.
Yes.
And that one was not enough, because even at home, people were being followed there to be killed. And the killings, of course, massacres happened again. So other Rwandese lost their lives, and others also left the country.
To seek refuge.
Yes, to seek asylum in other countries, Burundi, Uganda, Tanzania, Congo, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So that was phase number 2 of the Rwanda problem. Number 3 came that very year, 1973, because you know, the problem was not only Hutu, Tutsi, or Tutsi, Hutu. It went further. This segregation, this hatred did not remain between Hutus against the Tutsis, but it went even among the Hutus of the north and south.
Yes.
The Abakiga and the Abanyenduga. So Kayibanda was a Munyenduga because he was from Muhanga, from Gitarama.
Yes.
And as if that one was not enough, even the south itself was divided. Even the prefecture of Gitarama itself was divided. You see?
Yes.
And he was feeling that one day he will be betrayed by the officers in the army, because the majority of them were from north. Only about 99% were from Ruhengeri and Gisenyi. These guys, one day they will betray me.
Yes.
And maybe they will turn even against our ideology.
Yes.
Or hatred ideology, this is how you could call it.
Yes.
Now, he takes a decision to demote some of these guys.
From the north.
Fire them from the army.
Yes.
To appoint them to civil, to civilian officers and so on and so forth. So they said, so the man is starting to divide us at the army.
Yes.
Let us take a decision to overthrow him.
Yes.
And on 5th July 1973, they did
a coup took place.
That one. Yes. So he was caught, arrested, and detained for some time. And what they announced to the people the country was divided. And there was something which was about to happen yesterday night, but the army, the Rwandan army intervened to stop that catastrophe that was about to happen to the country. But in reality, the problem was there, which started beginning, I think it was February, March 1973, the killings in universities, the killing of the Tutsis, firing them and so on and so forth. And the army was directly involved. The police, not gendarmerie by the way, it was police still by then, it was involved directly.
Yes.
And with happiness. The ones who are going to schools to incite the Hutu students to do to kill their colleagues. Now, in the announcement, they say, oh no, the country was divided so much, so we had to intervene to stop this catastrophe which was about to happen to the country. That is the reason which they announced.
Yes.
But what was the truth is different from that one because they participate in that division. Now, beginning in 1973, they announced that they have abolished the constitution, and we were under the military rule until 1975, when Habyarimana and his group, which they used to call themselves les 11 camarades du 5 juillet, the 11
friends of the 5th
comrades of the 5th July. Those are the officers. Now they accepted to have a political party, but only one. That is the MRND. All Rwandese are born here in that party, and they will die in this same party. No way to have thoughts outside of this party. This is what happened, of course. Rwandans outside the country, mainly, were thinking about this country. Where are we going? So many things are said about our country. Number one is this disunity. Is this disunity part of our culture? Is it insolvable? Or it is something that happened and it can be removed and people reunite again?
Sorry to cut you short. The people that we are talking about here, are those that were in the country or those that were outside? For
outside
us to get
the country, outside the country.
For us to get to 1994.
Yes, especially those ones who were in Uganda. That question was question number one. Number two, our country is said to be very poor and chronic poverty, for that matter. Is it true? The way we see our country, I think there is a solution for that poverty. Number three, is it a must that our country is an exporter of refugees? 59, 60s, 70s, and always people are being exported outside their country. Is it a must? Our country is, have institutionalized the corruption. Can't we solve that problem also? And the many other ills which were in this country.
Yes.
These guys, they did the same thing Kayibanda did also in that division. Or even they went even further. They started by calling themselves the people from the north against the people from the south, because Kayibanda from the south. Then the north was the three prefectures, Byumba, Ruhengeri, and Gisenyi. Then they divided themselves into two. First, Byumba be ignored, then Ruhengeri be ignored, and Gisenyi remained there. Gisenyi itself, geographically, it's divided into two. There is Bugoi, that is historically, and there is Ubushiru. Habyarimana is from Bushiru. So they said, okay, let us stand against the Bagoi also. You see?
Yes.
The Bashiru, as if that one is not enough, they said we can create also another small clique of Akazu. You see, where are they taking this country? So the gallant girls and boys of this country outside the country mainly thought about these things. They even expanded it and called in some other people from different parts of out of Uganda, from Kenya, from Burundi, from by then Congo was had turned into Zaire. They even talked to people inside here in Rwanda, and even those who are far away in Western countries or Eastern countries, and talked about the problem of our country.
And how it can be solved.
Yes. They found that all of these problems are a creation for man. So solutions can be created also.
Yes.
That is why RPF
was born
from there with its 8-point program.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you look at those 80 programs, you find that they are solutions to the problems of the country by then, and they are still relevant up to now. So this is the story up to 1987.
Yes.
From there, after finding that these are the solutions, RPF is born. So this is, a political organization. They even to try as far as possible to go far from the divisionism. They say that we are not a political party like we know other parties. Sometimes they are just fighting, calling in people just for calling because they want numbers. Ours is a umuryango.
A family.
Yeah, this is a family. Every Rwandan is a member when he comes.
Yes.
It is only one condition, two conditions. Are you a Rwandan? Yes, I'm a Rwandan. This is your place.
Yes.
Number two, we are not classic parties. Here, before you join, you need to learn.
Yes.
This is our program. This is our methodology of doing things. This is our codes and conducts. And this is our way of doing things. This is how we approach people.
Yes.
So, all of this, we are communicated to the government of Habyarimana through diplomacy, from individuals, through international conferences that would take places here and there in Africa or outside of Africa. But the government of Habyarimana refused. Said that we don't need any idea from you guys. Then, okay, it started, as I told you, just as a political organization. The thought of having a military wing was not there at the beginning. It wasn't there at all. So, but as the days were moving, and the reactions from Kigali are always negative, the idea of one day maybe we may need to I mean, to force the government to understand these good ideas for the nation, it started coming up. Yes. Slowly, slowly, slowly. It grew toward the end of 1989.
Yes.
And then it was, taken as a recommendation and accepted by the members of RPF. They say that if need me, we may use force.
Yes.
To do whatever we can to rebuild our country. To redeem it from the
wrong hand.
Yes, and these are problems which we know they have solutions. Once we are together, we are reunited as Rwandans. That is where the idea of creating RPA came in, and it is usually called in RPF for the option Z.
Option Z, yes. Yes. Like the final, the final option.
Yes, the final resolution.
Yes, maybe if I can step in, from 1990 up to 1994, there was a struggle, a real one. There was on one side a diplomatic one, political, but also some people were on the front line. Maybe before we hear from NASWIRU on what he learns from this, like many of you were still young, especially those that were even on the front line. Didn't you reach to a point where you said, like, did we take the right decision really? Like, think twice before acting.
That is why it is not a party. That is why RPF is a family.
Yes.
And that is why it behaves like a family. And that is why it behaves like a front. When it is a party where people just come in, oh, I like that flag.
Yes.
Oh, I like, oh, my friend is already there, I'm going.
Also joining, yes.
That one, we avoided it. You want to be a member of RPF?
Yes.
Yes. Sit down for a few days. Learn
yes.
what is RPF? Why was it created? What does it stand for?
Yes.
And that is before you take off.
Yes.
When you feel that you are comfortable now, you are going to RPF because there is life and death here.
Yes, yes.
If the government of Rwanda gets you,
they'll kill
even if you did nothing, but they know that you're a member of RPF, you can lose your life.
Yes, yes.
But now we know that there is this option also, option Z. Yes. If you are required to be a member of RPA, are you ready? If you are required to do this and that, are you ready to do?
Yes.
Because of our nation? So you come here until when you take oath, you are satisfied. And that's also is called in Kinyarwanda, intambwe idasubira inyuma.
Yes.
Once in,
you don't go out.
You don't go back.
Yes.
As you said, the majority of the people here who, created and established the RPF
yes.
Were young men.
Yes.
Of your age. How old are you now?
24.
Yes.
Yes.
The majority of them was just between that age, even below. Some of them were 20.
Yes.
Up to 50, 51, 52 there. Those are the first members who created. Yes. But the majority of them were between 20 and 30. Even the current chairman of RPF, yes. His Excellency Paul Kagame, in 1987, he was only 30 years.
Yes, he was 30 years.
You see?
Yes.
That is when life is,
sweet. And
sweet. Someone wants to enjoy his life or her life. He wants to go to disco. He wants to
hang out with friends.
Yes. Yeah. But once you're in RPF, yes, you can do everything, but RPF is in your heart, yes. And is above everything.
Yes.
And you are ready to give even
the ultimate.
Everything you have, you can give it because of RPF, including your own blood.
Yes.
Yeah. So RPF was created by those young ones, and with that strong belief. Yes, with that strong belief. So they started recruiting people from where they were, in Uganda, in Zaire, in Burundi, in Tanzania, inside Rwanda. They even divided it in 2 regions, and Rwanda was not given even a sign. They just call it 0, which means that is the destination.
Yes, yes.
You have A, B, C, D, E, F, and whatever, but
The destination.
O,
0.
that is Rwanda. That is the destination. Whatever we're doing, the last place we'll go to is Rwanda. So they are young ones. And your question is, didn't you, in the course and the process, maybe
felt like giving up?
Yes. You know, when you start the journey, and in a good number of people, it is not possible that all of you will reach to the destination for different reasons. Some of them will get sick on the way and lag behind. Some others maybe will fall, and they will not reach their destination. Some of them, they thought that it was a joke, or they thought that it was a simple work. But when they came into practice, they found that it's difficult, and they gave up. Yes, it happened, but the majority remained. And when you lose one, you get 15.
Yes.
You lose 15, you get 100 of them. And I was talking to colleagues in I don't remember whether it was here in RBA or another channel, telling that the belief in RPF, the belief in the cause of taking arm was so strong that our young ones, those youth who are carrying the guns, would get shot, injured, and sometimes severely. He's taken to the sick bay. But after 2 or 3 days, a week or 2, when he feels that he can try to move,
he comes back.
He escapes from the hospital, from the sick bay. He does not ask for permission because the doctors, as doctor, would tell him, no, you are still, you still need some treatment, you still need some assistance from here. So he does not wait for that.
Goes back to the back.
Yes.
Yes.
So, you know, that is the belief that RPF held in their hearts.
Yes.
Ready to die for that cause.
Yes.
And as I told you, the majority of them, 95+%, were young ones.
Yes, thank you very much, Sheikh. As you said, the cause was bigger than anything, so that's why you didn't give up whatsoever. And my next question is for you, NASWIRU. You're one of the young people here in Rwanda. Your organization, PLP, Peace and Love Proclaimers, is one of the organizations that are doing everything necessary, like to unite, reconcile, and like make young people develop. Like after hearing the story from someone who was there by then, what are the lessons, 2 or 3 lessons that you draw from such story?
Well, it is actually very hard to put all the lessons that we learned from the liberation to 1 or 2, but I'll try my level best. I'll start with identity. There is a professor called George Ackloff. He wrote a book called Identity Economics. And then in this book, he would argue, he was talking about what makes a person or an association or an organization or a country successful. Now, he says it is not how well educated you are or how much money you get paid, but rather it is about identity. When you have a leap in identity, you want, when you identify with something, you want to see your identity in the product of what you're delivering. And the reason why I'm saying this is with the program of Ndumunyarwanda, which I would say has always been there, as Honorable said. Yes. But RPF brought it back after Parmehutu and Emerende had destroyed it long ago. So this spirit of identifying yourself with something, you know, when you are a good IT, you want to see good IT in the products you're delivering. So this identity of being Ndumunyarwanda gives us the courage to always, in everything that you do, you think of a Rwandan. Yes. If you're going to deliver a service, how is it going to impact my fellow Rwandans? How is it going to impact my society? And this is something that is very important that I learned from the RPF. Yes. Secondly, when you look at the background of RPF, as Honorable has just run through it, you actually realize that the RPF started at a strategic disadvantage. Most rebels, mostly in Africa, succeed because they enjoy the patronage of foreign power bankrolling them. RPF had no country bankrolling them. Right. The resources were from the members themselves. Most rebels start their struggle in areas where there are minerals, for example, to help them with their activities and armed struggle. We had no minerals or any other resources. We were also fighting a government that was backed by a superpower, France.
Yes. And Belgium as well.
Yes. And to be specific, even on France, France wasn't only bankrolling them, they were also training the army. You could see videos all over. So we started, RPF started at a strategic disadvantage. So the lessons I learned from that is that this was a family with fiscal discipline, strategic foresight, good managerial skills. And these are things that I take to heart because this has fostered a culture of fiscal discipline, a culture of self-reliance, and these are things one need to succeed. When we are working at PLP, these are things that we take at heart: self-reliance, fiscal discipline, and all those kind of things that the RPF has actually showed us. So to sum it up, I would say that RPF has given us what in Kinyarwanda we call Ijabiro, a strong and united country, and for that we are forever grateful.
Yes, thank you very much.
I like from you that word "we," as if you were there.
Yes, by then. Yes.
This means that
he owns it.
Yes, RPF is you and you are RPF.
Yes,
that is very good.
Yes, that's very good. Reminding our viewers that we are discussing about the relevance of the patriotism spirit in our current generation, and the current generation that we are referring to is the generation that was born after the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, and they were trying to see the relevance of this same spirit that made young people at NASWIRU's age, at my age, to go ahead and fight for the well-being of their country and their countrymen. Now, Sheikh, my next question is, like, how do we make sure that what you fought for, like, don't be put to waste? how do we make sure that what you fought for, the good country that we have? Recently, we were hosting Chogam and many other meetings among the achievements of the country. How do we make sure that these things are sustained?
First of all, I'm very optimistic that Rwanda in the good hands today,
yes,
and they will remain in the good hands even tomorrow. One of the evidences which I have is being myself seated between you,
yes,
of 23 years, and NASWIRU,
Yes, 23 as well.
23 years old. This is very wonderful. And when I hear your questions, I can see the enthusiasm even in your voice. And when I hear the answers from NASWIRU here, I see in him that patriotism which we are talking about today. And this is an assurance to me,
yes,
and the people of my age in RPF and our compatriots, that even if we are not there, Rwanda will remain as it is today, or even better.
yes.
The reason is, you know, NASWIRU was talking about the other, freedom fighters. In Africa and elsewhere in the world, once they get to the power, most of the time they forget why they are fighting. They come here, start drinking, forgetting all the programs they had for the people. And the alarming part of it is that they are talking to the people, teaching them those points and programs, and they got some assistance from the people. Like ourselves, as he said, we did not get any assistance from any government, but at least we got support from the people of Rwanda.
Yes.
Those who are outside the country, the refugees and non-refugees, and we got it from the people who were inside this country. So, because our teachings, because our program was, well articulated and, clear, and our cadres were politically very clear,
Yes.
for that matter. So, the difference between us and other freedom fighters is that when we arrived here, we continue to have the country here at the end. I can give you a simple, examples. After the fall of the genocidal government, and that was the Kigali fall on 4th July 1994. They looted everything which was in this country. Beginning from the central bank, they never left even a single franc in the coffers. Here, today we are called RBA. By then it was Orenford.
Orenford, yes.
They took everything that belonged to Orenford. The TV cameras, the studio equipment of radio. Do you know what kept the country moving, though it was
slowly, on a slow pace?
Number one is the spirit of RPF, which never dies. Number two is the spirit of the commander-in-chief of the RPA, Paul Kagame. Number three is a few materials which RPF had. You remember that we had our own radio there.
Yes, it's Muhabura.
So we carried the equipment and put it where Orenfor used it to broadcast from, and used that one to broadcast now so that people, they need information.
Yes, they need information.
They need to know what is happening and what has happened. In a few days when Radio Rwanda and Television Rwandaise were moving, there was no information. Muhabura was giving news.
Yes.
Today now Muhabura becomes Radio Rwanda.
Yes, Radio Rwanda.
Okay, of course TV was not possible by then because we
didn't have finances.
We had no those materials.
Yes.
That's number one. Number two, we got some maize, some beans, what we call imvungure. We used to supply it to people. And that resilience, which was in RPF members, we taught it to our, the stakeholders here,
yes,
whom we found, the members of the other political parties which did not participate in the genocide. So we taught them that you have to be patient. This is what is here. So let us share it. So people learned now how to eat imvungure. So though it was not their food before.
Yes.
But for RP, for that was not a staple, but it was, it was number one.
Yes.
Yeah, people are used to eat. So that resilience which RPA had to teach the people here. Now, we did not stop there. The people must move. The country must move. From this situation which was minus,
yes,
we must get out of minus. Slow by slow. Problems were so many. You don't know even sometimes where to start from. But you choose. Let me say this one is a priority. This one is a priority number 2. This is a priority number 3, and so on and so forth. Then we start from here.
Yes.
Number 1 was to give safety to the people and their belongings. That one was ensured. Number 2 is to reunite the people. It was done slowly. Number 3, let us now embark on the economy. We are getting support from different corners of the world.
Yes.
I remember Rwanda having more than, I think it was almost 300, even more NGOs working here. Some of them doing nothing here, just wasting our time. And some of them even want to to pull us back. To divisions, the Hutu, the Twa, the Tutsi, and so on and so forth. So after just a few years, I think it was after 1 or 2 years, we said, no, some of these guys can give us a break and we continue building our country as we think, because we have a vision as we had it before.
Yes.
So this foundation was built in the 4 years. And in the second phase, we said that now let us call Rwandans from different backgrounds,
yes,
and try again to think about this country. What is our problem? Is it one or there are many? Do we have the capacity to solve them? This is when we got the meetings which were known as the Inama zo mu Rugwiro. Yes. I think it took us almost 9 months in those meetings. And people of different backgrounds are, first of all, from the president, vice president, cabinet ministers, some people from, the head of the bureau of the national parliament. It was a transition parliament by then, and the heads of, permanent, parliamentary committees, plus members, of course, representatives from different parties which are working legally in Rwanda, civil society, journalists like you, plus religious organizations, plus the elders who were in the politics of Rwanda in 50s and 60s. Those are from Parmehutu. We got 2 or 3 of them, or even more. More than those. The ones who are veterans, there are 2, 3 of them, and others who are still active, like MDR, without Parmehutu now, that one which was, recreated or resurrected in 1991 when the political parties were, admitted again in this country. So it came with the MDR, without the word Parmehutu, but the members, the founders of the, I think in quotes you can call it a new one, the founders, some of them were the founders of Parmehutu, or among the first members of the Parmehutu. So they were here, and the new ones, of course, plus members of UNAR.
Yes.
Those, the Batware, who were here before independence, they came back, and of course you see that those symposiums, those meetings were very, very, very rich. And from there, we came up with the resolutions, which we are, I think even today we are, the Rwanda which we are seeing today is a product
of those
meetings. So I'm saying that we have that hope, and because we have you guys, we did not stop teaching our children, our youth, our young ones about the history of this country, the true history of this country. We showed them openly the consequences of disunity. We showed them, and is still showing them, that unity is the pillar.
Yes.
That pillar that we call in Kinyarwanda inkingi ya mwamba.
Yes.
Huh? The major pillar, this unity, and that is why he was talking about in the Munyarwanda.
Yes.
And we can see that our young ones, they understand it and they are working on it. And you have got, of course, examples that show that we are in the right direction.
Yes.
And the right track.
Yes.
And, and our policy is not the old one, where people used to say that the youth are the nation, tomorrow's nation. No, for us, no. You have to take the relay today, and we go together.
Yes.
That is why NASWIRU of 23 years today, he had that organization which is doing very, very well.
Yes.
They have hosted me several times.
Yes.
And I listen to them, and they see what they are doing.
Yes.
They are very positive.
Yes. Yes.
We are sitting, my last born now is, I think, 133. Yes. My last born. And NASWIRU is only 23, and you are only 23.
Yeah.
But you have got big ideas.
Yes.
So that is why we say that we have the pillars, and we are going with you guys.
Together.
We are accompanying you.
Yes.
Until when you take the relay 100% from us, and that is when I think by then I will no longer be on this earth, because so long as I will be breathing and my brain is still here, I will continue to watch the young ones, and they'll continue to advise them.
Yes.
And this is the belief, not mine. It is the belief of RPF.
Yes,
now.
yes, yes. Thank you very much. Now, NASWIRU, as we head to the conclusion, because we no longer have that much time, I want to ask you, one of the questions that young people are facing nowadays that are even not allowing them to live that purposeful life as RPF wants, or RPF, or the people that liberated this country want them to live, is drug abuse or addictions in general. Do you believe so, and what are the causes? Maybe in 1 or 2 minutes.
Well, I know that we don't have much time, but I just wanted to touch base on a little bit on what Sheikh just said in terms of RPF being the same as who they are before liberation and after.
Yes.
And I just wanted to mention a couple of 2 examples at least to actually emphasize on this. Yes. Abdul Karim mentioned something called the Comrades of 5 July.
Yes.
And one of them happened to be the late Kanyarengwe, may he so rest in peace. Now, this person joined RPF later, and then he went on to become the chair of RPF. Now, imagine you are on the struggle to liberate a country, and now you are not only welcoming people whom you were fighting, but then you install them as leaders.
Yes.
Now imagine if David Ben, the founder of Israel, nominated, let's say, Mohammed al-Hussein, who is the leader of Arabs at the time, the Prime Minister of Israel. Or imagine if George Washington nominated himself vice president and then president, a British loyalist. They didn't do that. But with RPF, that is its uniqueness. And even after the liberation, some people might question and say they're trying to show that they're a united front, but when they take power, they won't do it.
Yes.
But look after. When you look after, you realize that you know, different political parties were given seats in the government. And even now, you look at the second person to the president of Senate, he does not come from RPF.
Yes.
The president of the lower chamber, he does not come from RPF. And even the prime minister himself, he does not come from the RPF. What does that show you? It is that unity that we were talking about. So the RPF, the leadership of RPF, they do not only walk the talk, but they walk and let other people
talk about what
they are doing. So to come back to your question, yes, I believe drug abuse is one of the problems that are facing young people today. And I try to look at it at this point. And I think it comes from this culture that most of us try to answer question at symptomatic level rather than at root level. We come from a country that has been through a lot. And sometimes this has an effect on our mental health. And sometimes this is a result, this results into young people going into drug abuse because they think drugs are going to cure their problems. And to give you an example for you to kind of understand, most of us, when we get headaches, we go to the pharmacy and just buy paracetamol and cure ourselves. And all we're doing is curing symptoms. So if we are to be able to solve these kind of issues, we need to go at root levels. We need to understand the reason to why people take drugs in the first place. What is their mental state? What is the reasons to why they take drug abuse? And if you can cure that, I believe we'll find a solution to drug abuse. It will take longer, yes, but it will last longer.
Yes, thank you very much, Sheikh NASWIRU. We are left with only few minutes, and I want us to conclude with a departing 1 or 2 minutes, 1 minute and 1 minute, on what advice you can give to young people who are following us right now to help them make sure that this spirit of patriotism that we're talking about remains relevant in our current situation, because we are no longer fighting the fight that was fought from 1990 up to 1994. It's a different fight. Yes. Now, which takeaway can you give to them for us to have this good country and even better in years to come? In 1 minute, and then Shema also will tell us more as we conclude.
Yes, what I can tell my
children,
my children, the youth, is that RPF did not do miracles. The members of RPF and RPA, who were young by then, in 1987 to 1994, and even today, they are just Rwandans, patriots,
Yes.
who had the country in their hearts. They just wanted to contribute to the betterment of this country.
Yes.
That was a belief. So they tried their best and they brought the country out to this level.
Yes.
Now, you guys and your brothers and sisters who are even younger than you, and those who are maybe older than you, we are telling them the situation is not the same. That one needed brain and needed hands also. Today, all what you need is brain and maybe hand to assist the brain.
Yes.
So the situation is very, very different.
Yes.
Just to go to school, and because the government has put the school there because of you, our youth. Number two, learn from the people, because it's not history. It is just a current situation.
Yes.
Learn from the people who are still here. And remember that the guys you are defeated with their ideology, the bad one, are still here. Inside the country, and some of them
Outside.
are outside the country. They are fighting for the ego and the ego only. Young ones, don't follow those people because they will take you back to before 1994, which will be very sad for you.
Okay, thank you very much. And NASWIRU, the other question that one can ask is, what message can you give to fellow young people who are watching us right now, or even yourself? The advice, if you are to talk to yourself at this time, which advice can you give to yourself and young ones who are following us right now at the same age?
Liberation was never handed to us on a silver platter. Through sacrifice, hard work, and commitment, it was attained. So it is our job right now to make sure that what has been achieved does not go to waste. As our new generation today, our time has come, and we shall not stumble, as RPF has provided a rock for which our effort shall be anchored. Second, the day you plant a seed is not the day you eat the fruit. We need to be patient with ourselves. From time to time, you work on something and it will fail. Failures are only failures when we don't learn from them, because when we learn from them, they become lessons. So we need to not give up or give in, because there is always an answer to every question. Lastly, I would like to say to our young people, if you do not cultivate the culture of working or dedicating yourself to working for your community, your ego and greed will spin out of control when you occupy a higher position. You sacrifice people for a living. So we need to focus more on giving than receiving.
Yes, well put, NASWIRU. That was very, very insightful, and this marks the end of our show. And before we conclude, I want to thank Sheikh Abdul Karim Harimana. Thank you very much for honoring our invitation.
Thank you very much, and you're welcome. Thank you, those who have been following us.
Yes, and NASWIRU Shrema, it was a real pleasure to host you at Purpose Rwanda in KC2. Thank you very much for honoring our invitation.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yes, and as I said, this marks the end of today's show, Purpose Rwanda, for a purposeful and addiction-free generation. Just to remind you that in case you missed any of our previous episodes, you can find them on our YouTube channel, Purpose Rwanda. Until next time, I am Lavi Mutanganchuro. Have a good night.